so much for that generous introduction, DTM Nomel. And yes, it is an honor to introduce our last speaker for this evening. He is working on a project 3 of level 1. So we will be witnessing vocal variety and body language as part of his innovative planning path. He will practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance a speech. Let us watch for the speaker's awareness of his intentional and unintentional movement of body language, other than verbal communication, along with their vocal variety, including pace, tone, pitch, and volume, with a speech entitled Soplo Tenus for 5 to 7 minutes. To be evaluated by yours truly, let us all welcome distinguished Toastmaster, Nomel Gilongus.
So tenunous. If you think we're gonna talk about sotens and plotens tonight, you're almost correct. But let me warn you, unlike the speech of Attorney Rica, this is not a love story. Unlike the speech of DTM Nomel, this is not going to chronicle anything. And this is not a podcast like the speech of DTM Luisa. This is all about all of us becoming better speakers by just doing one thing. What do you think is that one thing that you need to do so that you can be a better speaker? Especially if you are ready to deliver your speech. And the Toastmaster has asked for speakers, and you, yes, you, don't look sideways or upwards or downwards. You have volunteered. That means you're ready with a speech or with ideas or with your notes or with your PowerPoint presentation. What is that one thing that you need to do? And then you're set to deliver your speech. There it is. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, if you are thinking what I am thinking, especially I have given away the subject of this speech earlier, yes. Then it was called soten. Now it's called ploten. I really don't know about you, but as for me, the sound of soten and ploten is not really very good. It sounds like flatulence. Probably there's no similarity, but yeah, for me, it did sound like. See, fellow Toastmasters, whether it's soten or ploten, it boils down to one thing. It's all about your introduction. Yes, your introduction. Why are we being asked to prepare our soten or ploten and send this to our evaluator? Any volunteers? But if you volunteer, do not consume my time. So I will volunteer myself. We are asked about our sotens and plotens because our Toastmaster of the day, or worst, our evaluator, very lazy. But then again, whose responsibility should it be to prepare our introduction? Is it the Toastmasters or the evaluator? Very good, fellow Toastmasters. It is our responsibility. Who else should write or prepare our introduction but us, right? Except, of course, if you have a secretary who writes your speech, just like somebody I know. But let's talk about our introduction. Why is it important for us to write our own introduction? There are 5 reasons that I can give you why it's very important for us to write our introduction. And quickly, you can read it on the board. Let me read them again. Number one, it sets up. It sets up anticipation for the speaker by establishing our credibility and our authority and our preparedness and expertise about the subject. Number two, it provides our audience a glimpse on what will be discussed and not. Number three, our introductions force us to be mindfully aware of explaining the topic of the speech to our audience. Number four, it provides the speaker, us, a dignified entrance. And finally, our introduction sets us up for success. Imagine yourself being introduced like this. Our next speaker is pathways, innovative planning, level. Anong level na daw ba siya? I'm sorry, my speaker did not include the level and the project, but it's innovative planning. All right. Okay, anyway, let's welcome DTM Nomel. Do you think you would feel good about starting your speech or go down the stage if it's in person? Or probably if you are in control of the meeting, you're the host, mute immediately your introducer. Avoid all this, fellow Toastmasters. Write your own introduction. Let's have a quick look. Whenever we deliver our speech, we are expected to prepare our evaluation resource, right? That's the image on the middle. Our evaluation resource would include all the necessary information that our evaluators and Toastmaster would need to introduce us. On the left side of the screen, you will see my plotten. On the right side of my screen, you will see my introduction. Now, quickly, using your raise hand on our Zoom, which do you think would be a better introduction? If I am DTM Burns and I am going to introduce Nomel, do you think I would be able to introduce Nomel properly if I use the plotten? Or would I be able to introduce my speaker with grace and dignity and honor and prestige if I have an introduction, which I will simply read? And I can see no raise of hands, no choices made. That's fine. You can quietly make your choice, fellow Toastmasters. But as for me, I'd like to remind all of you, why you? The answer is very simple. Only you, us, should answer this question. Why us? Because we are the speakers. No one else would know us better than ourselves. No one else would know better our topic, our speech, than ourselves. If we are already writing our plottens, why don't you go a little further? Just one little tiny step further. And instead, write your introduction. It's a very good practice. And if you envision yourself to become a professional speaker one day, let me remind you, right now, professional speakers, they write their own introductions. Do you honestly think Robbins, Sinek, and all these amazing speakers would trust another person to write their introduction? No way. So in closing, fellow Toastmasters, remember, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. And how do you get started? Start by writing your own introduction. You get ahead and you help yourself to become a better speaker. Back to you, DTM Rap.